Free practice 2 about to get underway here at Moscow Raceway ahead of the 4th round of the 2015 Blancpain Sprint Series. My name is Jack Nichols, and we've got an hour and 20 minutes of action coming up for you on the circuit in about, well, 5 minutes time. And we've already had free practice 1 a little bit earlier on today, and the quickest time was set by the Renaudi Ferrari, the 333, and they did a 1:38 dead, so an impressive performance from them. And you can see it's a very pleasant day here in Moscow. Well, we're just outside of Moscow, about 100 kilometers outside of Moscow, in the Volokholamsk district. This circuit opened back in 2012, and it really is a great little venue, and one that has provided exciting racing in all sorts of Formula will be no different as we get ready for this second practice session to get underway. See the undulating nature of this Moscow circuit. That's the start-finish straight coming down towards the first left-hander. And it really is a great little track through turn 1, and then they come down towards turn 2, and there are some 15 corners on this circuit. And there is the Attempto Racing McLaren now up on the blocks again, that Attempto McLaren. So that's interesting that is up there, because they had troubles in the first free practice session, and it looks as though they might have them in this session too. That's not ideal. So we'll see what happens with that McLaren once this session gets underway. And the wind has picked up as well. You can see the flags on the roof of the race control tower there on the right-hand side, fluttering away in the breeze. Albert von Turn Taxis on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, as we look at it, is Nick Katzberg, heading back to get ready to get in the car and head out there onto the track. The car that was second quickest in that pre-practice session. And that 88 Reiter Engineering Lamborghini will be looking to get a strong result here this weekend. There you can see the flags are waving. And just a couple of minutes now, you can hear the engines starting to get fired up. And there are the two GT Russian cars. Alexei Karachev and Christoph Bushu's machine there is the number 70. And over on the other side is 71. Alexei Vasiliev and Marco Asma. And you can see one of the drivers is already at the wheel. Can't quite pick up. I think that's Marco Asma who's already at the wheel in there. No, it's Alexei Vasiliev. That's oh yes, you can see quite clearly it is now actually, well, you could until the door came down and the engines fired up. 22.7 degrees the air temperature, 33 degrees the track temperature, so that has come down since the first free practice session. So we may not see times as quick. A lot of work going on there at the MRS GT Nissan front end. car gets ready to head out onto the track, but we have got some action on the circuit. 75 is the Philippe Salaquada, Marco Bononomi ISR Audi, and he's the first man out on the circuit, along with the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari of Marco Seefried. Dropping down the hill into the left-hander. Philippe Salaquada did race here back in 2012 with the FIA GT1 World Championship. This 1 hour and 20-minute session is underway. There's the Hammond Szolzicki Nissan getting ready to head out onto the track. There is Marco Seefried heading down the back straight. Into turn one then comes Marco Seefried as the sun begins to go down in the sky here in Moscow. Into that double left at 4, then the flicks at 5 and 6. Dropping down into 7, then the loop around of 8. .3 in sector 1 for Marco Seefried isn't too bad. See what sector 2 brings. 46 dead. Quickest of the session so far, because these are the first laps of the session so far. Down into the final corner. And across the line, going to be somewhere in the 39s here. No, a 1 minute 40.182, so a couple of seconds slower than that Ferrari managed earlier on today in the hands of Norbert Siedler. There is Norbert chatting to the Rinaldi mechanics. This is the number 2 WRT Audi. They've got a lot of time to make up because they were missed out in the first pre-practice session with an electronical problem. They come hurtling down into turn 1, using all the road. Three and a half tenths down in sector 1 for the number 2 WRT Audi that has Enzo Eid at the wheel. Marcus Winkelhock's just gone quickest of all, a 39.582, but he's only the second man to set a lap time as Enzo Eid kicks up the dust. weaving his way through the right-hand sequence now, out onto the back straight. Onto the brakes, into the final corner, then comes Enzo Weed. We'll see what kind of lap time he can do. First, best of anyone in the middle sector, so he may well go quickest here, but he doesn't. Second quickest, 1 minute 39.541 for Enzo Weed. There's Pierre Dieudonné, the man in charge of the WRT Audi operation. Watching his teammate out there on the circuit. And he wonders how long he's going to be on there. There is his teammate now. And that is Vincent Abril, who's about to come across the line to do a 1 minute 39.452. Go second quickest at the moment. Winkelhock, meanwhile, is continuing his pace. He's on a 38.6. That's a good first sector, good time for Marcus Winkelhock. There's the HTP, Bentley Continental. Now in its blue livery. Plunges down the hill and about half a second down in sector 1. This meanwhile is the number 4 car of Stippler. Through the left now at the far end of the circuit. To the back straight, personal bests in sectors 1 and 2 for Vincent Abril at the moment. Across the line, and it's 5th for Vincent Abril. So the order at the moment is still, well, it's the Reiter Engineering car, quickest of anyone. The 88 Lamborghini, 38.4. Then Marcus Winkelhock on a 38.499. Then Frank Stippler 3rd. Marco Seefried 4th. And 5th is Vincent Abril. There is the 88 car. Transponder says Nicky Katzberg at the wheel. Albert von Turnen Taxis at the wheel, but I imagine it's it's Nicky Katzberg. And it's a personal best in sector 1 for the Lamborghini this time around. So we'll see what he's got. Into the final turn. It's the best of anyone in the middle sector, so we could have the new fastest lap of the session so far for Nick Katzberg as he comes across the line. So we'll wait for the... and it's a 38.242, so a couple of tenths slower than he managed earlier on, Nick Katzberg. Over a tenth of a second up in sector 1. Katzberg pushing hard. Albert von Turnen Taxis, teammate of Nicky Katzberg. We'll get the middle sector split in a couple of moments for Nick Katzberg. Here he comes now, out onto the back stretch across the line, and he's Not in a particularly strong middle sector, but he's still a 10th up on his quickest time so far. Out and across the line then. And it's a 1 minute 37.966, so that's the first time we have dipped into the 1 minute 37s there. Hans Reiter looking satisfied with that performance from his man. Meanwhile, the number 6 Phoenix Audi is back in the pits of Marcus Winkelhock. The 54 Porsche 997 GT3R out of the final corner, 10th at the moment. That car has Sergei Chukhanov and even Samarin at the wheel and doesn't really have the right way through turn 1. Chukhanov into the left. Ooh, taking so much dirt and grass on the inside of that right-hand apex. And as a result, the front of the car's a bit grassy now. Feathering on the throttle as he comes out through the right-hander, not 100% confident to get the power down. And then out onto the back straight. This is where we're going to see most of the overtaking on this run down into the final left-hand turn, I'd have thought. So the Porsche comes across the line once again. And all smiles in the Porsche garage. As we now see the 84 Bentley in the hands of Vincent Abril. Yeah, but it's still Vincent at the wheel. Number 1 is Laurens Vanthoor and Robin Freitz. Laurens Vanthoor at the wheel at the moment, flashing his headlights as he closes in on the Phoenix Audi up in front. And let's go on board then with the number 1 car. Now we're dropping down into the sequence of lefts and then rights. Now into the double left of 12 and 13. This is 12. This is 13. And it looks as though Vanthoor may have just backed off there to give himself a little bit of space before perhaps gunning it on the next lap. So we'll stay with it. Yeah, he's 3 seconds down now, isn't he? So just backed off to give himself some space for the next lap that's coming up in a couple of moments' time. That's Robin Freitz on the, well, with the helmet on, obviously. So, out of the final corner comes Laurens Vanthoor. And on this one, it looks like he's going to push. Across the line he comes. Using all of the curb on turn-in. Breaks all the way around the corner. Whoa, back end's going for Van Thor. Kept it all together, but big old moment there. He was braking very, very deep into turn 3. And in the end, that caught him out. So over a second down now as a result of that. He has won here before in the GT1 World Championship. Let's have a look at that again. Back end starts coming, keeps coming, and gets it under control in the end. But a nice little slide from Van Thor, but it'll cost him time, unfortunately for him. Out onto the back straight again. The number 6 Phoenix Audi is up behind him, which I think is still in the hands of Marcus Winkelhock. Van Thor, meanwhile, is still the quickest man out there at 37.501. So he has managed to go half a second quicker than the 88 Lamborghini. And things are still looking good for him. Alexei Karashev in the 70 GT Russian BMW Mercedes coming down into the final corner now. And across the line to start a lap. Now through the long right-hander of turn 3. These guys really kind of attacking the dust, aren't they? Using the curbs and a little more. And there's the sister car, the 71 machine. Back to Alexei Karashev, who was second in the 2008 Lada Cup in Russia, losing out to Pavel Kalamunovich that season, and then he was second in the ATS Formula 3 Trophy. So that's a German championship for kind of lower spec Formula 3 cars. That championship won by Ricardo Bruchin. So after that those Formula 3 outings, Karashev then joined the Blancpain Endurance Series this year. So a couple of years away from the sport. Just over 30 is Alexei Karashev. And he's got the number 2 WRT Audi right up behind him. So they come into the first corner through the left-hander. And Christophe Bouchou looking pretty chilled there, isn't he? So that's giving Alexei Karashev plenty of time out there on the circuit. Still not all good at the RJN Nissan gang. Not out on the circuit at the moment. You see Bob Neville watching on. Whether they've had troubles or not, I'm not sure. Is 71, which is at the moment Alexei Vasiliev. It's still Laurence Van Thor who's the quickest man at the moment, ahead of the 88 Lamborghini, then the Phoenix Audi, then the number 3 WRT Audi, then the number 2 WRT Audi. Marco Bonomi 6th quickest at the moment for ISR. So that's it. good stuff from Bonomi. Into the left. They're changing an oil temperature sensor on that RJ and Nissan, so that's the problem for them. Hopefully that shouldn't take too long and they'll get back out on track again. But Alexei Vasiliev still out there on the circuit now. Into the final turn comes Alexei Vasiliev, and it's a 39.899, so no improvement that time through for the Russian racer. We've got Mark Sholzitsky, Alexei Karachev, Alexei Vasiliev, and Ivan Samarin. Oh, and there is one of them, Alexei Karachev, off the circuit on the grass. And has that right rear taken a bit of a knock? Looks like that right rear, in fact, the headlights out on that right rear. I think we might have lost the lights on the right rear, so perhaps a bit of a, well, let's find out. Here's Alexei Karachev. Oh, he's got on the way in. He's going straight to the scene of the barriers. Oh, goodness me. It's quite a big hit that actually for Karachev. He certainly did make contact with the barriers. So good to see him out of the car. But that is race over, or certainly day over, I should say. Lost it big time on the way in. It is quite a quick left-hander there at 7. It's more about getting the line in for 8, really. The marshal's just checking. He's okay, he is okay, but he's very frustrated. And the red flags come out. So, red flag out here in Moscow as we clear the car of Alexei Karachev. I don't think the clock will stop. I think the clock will keep on ticking. But we'll keep an eye out on that one. The cars all now pull back into the pit lane for what should be hopefully a brief pause in proceedings here in Moscow. There's Karachev's car. They've just got to find a way of getting it, because it was a bit of an unusual place to go off, has to be said. So into the pits comes the other GT Russian car. Yeah, you can see the clock is still ticking. So the quicker that the marshals here in Moscow can sort out the stricken car, the better, and we'll get more on-track action. 73 Nissan being pulled back in. Craig Dolby and Sean Walkinshaw. As Karachev stands by the side of the circuit. And the crane comes to take the car away. So the clock continues to tick. There you can see Marco Seefried and Norbert Siedler. And I think that's a racing driver sign for oversteer from Marco Seefried. And not bothering to take his helmet off because I think he thinks he'll be going back out when the session resumes, which I think he will be, and it shouldn't be too long before we get the session going again. Nick Katzberg there on the right-hand side. Hans Reiter chatting to him as the marshals go running down the start-finish straight, just to clear up some bits and bobs, I guess. And they're just trying to attach the tow ropes, or the cranes, I should say, to the car now. They'll hoist it out of the way. There's Marco Bononomi and Felipe Salaquada's car. The 75 ISR machine. Marco Bononomi, the only Italian in the field. And he had a decent single-seater career, the highlight being a second place in the 2006 Euro Series 3000 season, which was won by Giacomo Ricci. Bononomi finished second, and then Vitaly Petrov in third place in the standings. And then he decided to move to sports cars after a bit of Formula Renault 3.5 for Bononomi, and ended up being one of the Audi factory drivers. Is that a pit exit, the 55 car? Yes, it is. So I thought that was off at the side of the track with the 55 car, just at pit exit. But yeah, third place in 2012 at Le Mans for Marco Bononomi. Finished 7th this year with Felipe Albuquerque and René Rast. Actually won a GP2 race in Abu Dhabi. In Dubai in 2008. Won the final race of the season in 2008 in the GP2 Asia Series, I think it was. So let's hear what the Brazilians are talking about. Obrigado. That's about the limit of my Portuguese. So the marshals all around the circuit just sweeping up the track, and they've had a reasonable amount of motorsport here at the Moscow Raceway. The DTM come here, the World Touring cars have come here in the past, as well as bikes, and it is the main purpose-built facility in Moscow, with the exception of the new Sochi Formula One circuit. But Sochi only really hosts Formula One. Nothing else really goes there. First ever Russian Grand Prix last year. Well, the first ever World Championship Formula One Russian Grand Prix. Before that, there was a Russian Grand Prix. I'm going to gamble. I think it was 1914 was the last Russian Grand Prix before last year. And Willie Stroll ran it in a Mercedes. But I'm going to have to check that now. You can see Vincent Abril. And there you can see the damage to the right-hand side of that Mercedes. Pretty tough. Yes, 1914 at St. Petersburg. Willie Scholl won in a Mercedes, and then 100 years later, Grand Prix racing returned to Russia. Need a new set of wheels on that one. Gone into the barrier quite heavily there. There have only been two Russian Formula One drivers, Daniel Kvyat and Vitaly Petrov. You see the underside there of the Mercedes SLS as they lower it down the other side, so hopefully we'll be getting running back underway pretty soon. Roman Rusanov tested for Jordan. You've got Sergei Sorokin, who was sort of part of Sauber, but then I think there's about 40 drivers that have sort of been part of Sauber over the last couple of years. I think I was in with a shout for a seat at one point. But my check did bounce. As we see Maxi Book at the wheel. In fact, we have one of the Sauber men here, Robin Freitz. He was a kind of Sauber test driver at 1.2. But good to see Sauber getting themselves back on track in general this year. Anyway, I digress. We're here for the Blancpain Sprint Series. And we've been here before in 2012 when it was the FIA GT1 World's Championship. And the races in Moscow, the first race was won by Laurens Vanthoor and Stefan Ortelli. And then the championship race was actually won by Stef Dusseldorp and Fred Makovicky in the Hexis Racing McLaren, the MP412C, the previous incarnation of the 650S. And that was before they launched themselves into title contention at the final race weekend in Donington. It was Bassing and Winkelhock who took the title that year. So yeah, so this is really the main motorsport hub in Russia. Like I say, Sochi only really used for Formula One at the moment, which is a shame. It's a nice little circuit at Sochi. Spectacular scenery inside the Winter Olympic stadiums. There are some pedals, and that's at the wheel of the Bentley. So I presume that's Maxi Book at the wheel. Oh no, because it's the 83 car. So it's Jules Simkowiak who's at the wheel, and he spotted himself on the big screen somewhere, I think. Jules Simkowiak and Max van Splunteren, the two teammates in the 83 car this weekend. And Simkowiak has had a reasonable start to the season. He's showed some good pace, but the results haven't quite been there. A best of 6th in the championship race at Zolder last time out. Doors are getting shut because I think the green flag will be waved before too long. In fact, it does so now. So session resumes with 47 minutes to go here at the Moscow Raceway. Now 5:30 local time. Everything is coming up tomorrow. Qualifying first thing in the morning. Then the main race, the qualifying race, and then the main race as the, hopefully, that won't be the last time we see the 17 GT Russian Mercedes. Fingers crossed they can get it back out. Out on the circuit goes 55, Attempto Racing McLaren. Number 3. The WRT Audi, Stefan Rakelmi and Stefan Ortelli, and it looks as though it's Rakelmi at the wheel at the moment. Just making sure everything's done up and all good to go. As the Kevin Estra and Rob Bell McLaren sweeps through the left-hander. And out go the WRT Audis as well, so very busy circuit. Brazilian BMWs heading out onto the track as well. And the McLaren straight back in. So a little sighter there. '83 is Jules Simkowiak. Out on the circuit now, and there's the 55 McLaren back in the pits, just kind of sitting there for the time being. As Simkowiak comes across the line then to start a lap. through turn 3 in the HTP Bentley Continental. .6 seconds down in sector 1, so not a superb time so far for Simkowiak. Out towards the double left, you can see the sun really starting to glare off the tarmac now. 43 minutes to go, so we're halfway through the session now. As Simkowiak blasts down the back straight. Into the final corner. Across the lines instead of 1 minute 40.981. And, well, that's Jules Simkowiak. So it must be Max van Splunteren who is behind the wheel at the moment. So a bit of a transponder issue there. But this is the 84 car, which I think has Max Buch at the wheel at the moment. Yes, it does. Oh, and a little off there for, I think, Alexei Vasiliev in the 71 at turn 3. But Maxi Buch ignores it and keeps on heading round. Really clouting the bottom at turn 7 there. It really bounces the car, doesn't it? Rattling down through the gears. Oh, and that's Nicky Meyer-Melnov who's had a spin. I think that's at turn 3 as well. And a very tricky corner to get right, that. Actually, it's Winkelhock. It's Marcus Winkelhock at the wheel. Just caught a glimpse of his helmet, so Winkelhock's had the spin at turn 3. Buch, meanwhile, is out onto the back straight, 1.6 seconds down. Through the final turn comes the 84 HTP Bentley and remains 4th quickest at the moment. It is still Laurens Vanthoor, who's the quickest of anyone. That's Vincent Abril. And let's have a look at this again. And this was Maxi Buch. Oh, this was him coming past the 71 car of Vasiliev that had run wide at turn 3. Only for... okay, so Winkelhock's lost it on the way into that apex, because it's quite a long... I mean, I'm surprised it's not classified as 2 corners, because it is kind of a long right-hander with kind of 2 apexes, but nevertheless, Winkelhock's lost it coming into the second of the apexes, or apices I should probably say, as Laurens Vanthoor nearest towards us. Watching his WRT teammate Robin Freintz out there on the circuit. There's the 23 Nissan GTR Nismo, the RJN machine. On board we go with the 23. At the moment, looks like it's Mark Szorzycki at the wheel. They haven't done many laps because they were changing an oil temperature sensor. Now he's coming down the back stretch into the left-hander. through the final corner. It'll be a personal best for the Nissan squad. And it's 18th quickest at the moment. Not the ideal route there for Mark Szorzycki, deciding to push very hard coming into turn 2. And that'll wreck this lap for the Russian. Let's have a look at that again. Oh, he's gone wide at 1. And then, oh, okay, so it was as he came back on, he just caught the rears on the dust, and that meant he couldn't get it slowed down and stopped in time. That's Nick Hammond, who's the other driver in that car. As Valdeno Brito and Attila Abreu's BMW gets pushed back into the garage, the Brazilian squad, who are looking good in the championship. Currently second in the standings, but 27 points off the leaders, Frantz and Vanthor. So they really need Frantz and Vanthor to have a tricky day. Oh, let's have a look at this on board. So he's going to go too deep into 1, Mark Szorzycki. Gets the apex. Well, he didn't really go that wide. It was just as he came back on here, that's when he got on the dirt, and it all got crossed up on him. So actually turn 1 wasn't too bad. It was the exit of 1 and going into 2 that caught him out. 37 minutes to go here in free practice 2. Round 4 of the Blancpain Sprint Series coming your way this weekend from here at Moscow Raceway. And hopefully it'll be as interesting as the first 3 races that we've had so far this season. Nagaro, Brands Hatch and Zolder, 3 classic racetracks. Now we move to a new purpose-built facility here in Moscow, only been open since 2012. This is the 54, which at the moment is in the hands of Sergei Chukhanov. Whoa, and it's in the very slidey hands of Sergei Chukhanov as he chucks it off the circuit. The Ukrainian going on a little bit of rallycross action there. Now, now taking the grass on the inside line through turn 7. Now let's watch it again. He loses it way early in the corner, and then off he goes. Great season so far for Brazil BMW, winning their first race in the opening round of the... Oh, is that a lockup for the 73 car there? Very interesting. That's and a moment there as well for James Nash. So the WRT Audi recovering. So let's see what happened here. We're going to see Nash arriving backwards. Yes, we are. And then getting in the grass, manages to get going again. But that Nissan lockup was interesting because these cars have ABS, so it's very unusual to see cars locking up. But that's what we saw. Here's 73. Coming through the long left-hander. 73 Nissan remains out there on the circuit. Still, the 73 making their way out there. They've got one podium so far this season. They didn't actually manage to stand on the podium steps. 34 minutes to go. Oh, and then another lockup. So there's a problem there with that Nissan. There's a problem there with that Nissan locking up every time, going down under braking. Comes through the first corner again. So this is the Bentley. And then followed by the McLaren coming through, Rob Bell and Kevin Estre. So we've got 33 minutes to go. And this is 83, which is Jules Simkowiak and Max van Splunter. And there's Craig Dolby there on the left-hand side. Hello, you all right? Good. Watching his teammate Sean Walkinshaw out there on the circuit, struggling with the car. So the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari is out there on circuit at the moment. And they are currently 10th quickest. Marco Seefried is at the wheel. As they come out over the line. And there is the Rinaldi car. Out and across the line. A squeal of tyres from someone out there. There's Norbert Siedler. Heading back to the back of the garage. The 333 Ferrari, as I say, in 10th place at the moment. But it was on an outlap, so now Marco Seefried may decide to give it a bit of a push. Through the double apex left-hander at 4. Now starting to career down the hill through 4 and 5 and 6. The 70 GT Russian car is just being wheeled down the pit lane on the back of a flatbed. So the truck has made its way around and now they're going to drop off that 70 car in the garage. As we are on board with the rear-facing view of the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari. 32.6 in Sector 1, not bad. Seefried is giving it a bit of a push. .31 minutes to go. Look at that sun, beautiful. It's not quite. Into the final left-hander. Watch out for the apex curve there on the right-hand side. Across the line then, and it's going to be a 38.5. So they remain in 10th position. The 333 Rinaldi Ferrari. And they have said that it's all about they need to get their pace in qualifying sorted, and they managed that in Zolder, and if they can manage that again this weekend, then they may be in with a shout. But the opening 2 rounds didn't get qualifying sorted. Now here's a look at the standings at the moment, and also the side of this. Well, it was the other side, wasn't it, that took the hit? So I thought it looked remarkably well, but yeah, it was the other side that took the hit on the 70 Mercedes. They'll lower that off before too long. Lawrence Vanthor having a chat with his engineers. This is the 55 McLaren. Rob Bell and Kevin Estre currently 5th quickest. 32.9 in sector 1, so this isn't a flying lap. Out onto the back straight. Another lockup out there. Now, has the Nissan just gone through? Yes, it has. So, constant lockups there for the Nissan, as the McLaren remains in 5th place for the time being. This is the Nicky Meyer-Melnoff Phoenix Racing Audi. So Winkelhock's done the early stages, and now Meyer-Melnoff has taken over. One and a half seconds down after the middle sector is Meyer-Melnoff. Also out there is Christopher Mies in the number 2 WRT Audi, and then the Attempto Porsche a little bit further back. "27 minutes to go here in free practice 2 at Moscow Raceway." There's Markus Winkelhock watching on. Here's a look at, straight on there for Stefan Rakelmi. A little bit of grass cutting. He'll find the track again. And that's a better way to manage it than the way we saw Alexei Karachev hit the wall. Still the WRT Audi, the quickest man of anyone. 1:37.501, set by Laurens Vanthoor. The Reiter Lamborghini still second quickest. Nicky Meyer-Melnoff and his Phoenix Audi is third quickest. The time, though, set by Markus Winkelhock as the Audi comes in the pits. And there you can see the damage to the right rear. Hopefully it'll be mainly cosmetic. Well, suspensions and steering arms may have taken a bit of a hit in all that. So it gets pushed back into the garage. As we see Christopher Mies heading down the back straight again. Currently 7th in the timings, Christopher Mies. And he dives into the pits. Still out there we've got Vincent Abril in the 84 Bentley. There's Enzo Eid, teammate of Christopher Mies. Vincent Boss there, the two Belgians, as the number 2 car comes in. Marco Bononomi and Philippe Salaquada's ISR Audi. Ooh, that's not quite right, is it? The damage on the 70 Mercedes. Looks as though the sort of wheel might have taken most of the hit though there. As the 75 Audi once again comes down to the final corner. Mies. Looks as though he's going to stay in the car. Enzo E didn't look like he was particularly keen to get back out there. All the work is going on around the other side as Alexei Kadachev rather forlornly looks on at the damage he's managed to do to that car, unfortunately for him. Meanwhile, zero is the Caca Bueno Sergio Jimenez Brazilian BMW. It's Jimenez at the wheel, former A1 GP and GP2 racer. He and Bueno, sorry, have been taking on their first Spa 24 hours in a couple of weeks' time. 3 weeks, I think it is, till the Spa 24. So we go on board then with Jimenez. Second down in Sector 1. Really kicking up the dust as they climb up through that right-hander at 7 and 8. Wonderful to just listen to that BMW Z4 engine. Out onto the backstretch again. This isn't a super fast lap for Sergio Jimenez in terms of out-and-out pace. And especially because he's coming into the pits. So it's not going to be a great lap time. Timings order still remain the same. Craig Dolby's just done his personal best to get up into 9th place. As Christopher Meese gets ready to head out for the final 22 minutes of this session. Nick Katzberg back at the wheel of the Lamborghini. Climbing up the hill. Wonder if we're seeing Katzberg gear up for a flyer here. Oh, that's Nick Katzberg. So transponders playing around a little bit. So it's Albert von Turn and Taxis still at the wheel of the 88 Reiter Engineering Lamborghini. There's the Walkinshaw Dolby Nissan. MRS GT running a Nissan for the first time, really. They run a couple of McLarens in Blancpain Endurance a couple of years ago. Took a pole position at the opening race of 2013 at Monza. Raced Porsches as well, but not as experienced with the Nissan GTR. .32.8 in Sector 1 so far. This is where the Nissan's going to be strong on this back straight. Listen to it. Fantastic deep rumble from that Nissan. As it comes out and across the line, 7th place, 138.846. Less than 20 minutes to go as the tyres get wheeled back in, and there is Sean Walkinshaw. Looks like he's going to take over for the final 20 minutes or so. There's the number 1. Robin Freitz and Laurens Vanthoor, still the quickest men out there at the moment. It's Freitz at the wheel because that's Laurens Vanthoor getting ready. Across the line comes Robin Freitz, and is just less than a second slower than the best time that's been set so far. This is a replay of Craig Dolby. Oh, he's got on the grass going into the corner there, and that's never going to end well. So a little trip through the gravel, nothing too dramatic. This is a replay from on board with the 333 Ferrari, kicking up the dust a lot at turn 3. Ferrari still running down the order a little in 8th place. It's quickest in free practice 1. Again, kicking up the dust on the inside. So really beginning to push. Ooh. Not quite as smooth under braking as the Rinaldi Ferrari would have wanted. Across the line to do a 1:39 dead, so a second and a half down on the quickest car so far, Laurens Vanthoor and Robin Freitz. There are the standings. The number 1 Audi quickest at the moment. Then the 88 Lamborghini. In 3rd place is the number 4 Frank Stippler WRT Audi. Then it's the 6 Phoenix Audi in 4th place, Marcus Finkelhock. 84 Bentley's there in 6th place, just in front of the McLaren and the Ferrari. And there is Laurens Vanthoor getting ready to take over. Nissan in 9th. The new Attempto Porsche 12th quickest at the moment. And at the moment it's the 23 Nissan that's slowest of all, not by much. Here now is the 4 car of, I think, Frank Stippler at the wheel. It's James Nash. It's James Nash at the wheel then as he comes out to these double left-handers of 12 and then 13. And the right-hand kink up into 14. Brings him out onto that back stretch. Rinaldi Ferrari's just come across the line and not improved at the moment, so let's see what Nash can do down to the final corner. Leaves his braking really late, less than 100 meters before the corner. These guys are getting on the brakes by the looks of it. Really impressive stuff. It's the 75 ISR Audi back in the pits. Philippe Salaquada there, still at the wheel. But looks as though maybe a setup change for them. The 55 McLaren's just returned into the pit lane. Kevin Estre and Rob Bell. Just looking out of my commentary box window. Lovely vantage, although the sun continues to come down and means that get more and more blind in here. But this is the BMW Team Brazil car into the left-hander of turn 1. Attila Abreu and Valdeno Brito have had a great start to the year. So has this 77 car, in fact. It's been on the podium. It's only missed out on the podium in one race so far this season, this 77. Frank Stippler in the number 4 WRT Audi, watching teammate James Nash out there on the circuit, just going through the data. As the BMW climbs its way up through the far end of the circuit, now dropping down into the double left. .5 minutes to go of our Friday running here. Both races are tomorrow. Qualifying first thing, then the qualifying race and the main race, both coming up for you tomorrow. So it'll be an action-packed day tomorrow, no doubt about that. Across the line comes the 77 to remain in 17th place, so not that quick for 77 at the moment. That's Sergio Jimenez at the wheel of the 0 BMW, which is currently 15th quickest, so not the fastest of sessions so far, but you never know what kind of plans and schedules these guys are running. Frank Stippler continues to go through the data, former Porsche Carrera Cup champion, no, Porsche Super Cup champion, I should say. As rumbling down the back straight comes the Bentley. Vincent Abril at the wheel, on the brakes, into the final corner. What a difficult season it's been so far for this Bentley pairing of Vincent Abril and Maxi Buch. A strong pairing, a strong team, but they haven't managed to hook it all together. Caca Bueno, 5-time Brazilian stock car champion. Second in the standings at the moment. They're about a third of the way through their Brazilian stock car season. And a lot of the Brazilians there race in the Brazilian Stock Car Championship. And at the moment, it's Julio Campos who's leading the Brazilian Stock Car Series, just 1 point ahead of Caca Bueno, with Rubens Barrichello in third. And that is car number 1. So that is Robin Freins. No, it's Vanthor at the wheel, sorry. It's Laurens Vanthor who's gone into the wall just where we saw the Mercedes go in at turn 7. So Laurens Vanthor. Now, how hard has he gone in? That's one of the questions. There's Robin Freins on the right-hand side. Now, we saw Freins make a mistake. Well, actually, we saw Vanthor make a mistake at Brands Hatch in free practice. Hit the wall, coming out of, I think it was Westfield Bend. But he climbs out of the car here, so here we go, on board, into 7, and we'll lose the back end. He's done a lot of spinning, so that should have taken some speed off. Oh, big hit that. Might have done the left rear and the left front, but we'll have to wait and see. Robin Freins on the right, his teammate looking concerned. We'll get a look at it when they lifted up. But whether we get the red flag out, we'll see about that one as well, because last time we had a car off there, we had the red flag. Robin Frantz on the right-hand side looking... I mean, the positive is there's no urgency to get this car going again. There is Vanthor off the circuit in the barriers. Meanwhile, Marco Bononomi and Philippe Salaquada's 75 ISR continues out there on the track. This Audi still in one piece. They come into the yellow flag zone, so no one can improve here, which will be a frustration for Philippe Salaquada, because he just set his personal best in Sector 1. So hopefully we can move that Audi before the final few minutes of the session, and then we can have some fun. Marco Bononomi, teammate of Philippe Salaquada in that 75 ISR Audi. Great to have ISR in the series. They probably raced here actually in 2012 in Formula Renault 3.5. So they're a very strong team in the World Series by Renault, where ISR. They were running Sam Bird and Jake Rosenzweig that year, but neither of them got a victory in Moscow. Sam Bird finished third, so they've had podiums here in the past of ISR. Nick Hammond now at the wheel of the 23 Nissan, which has managed to climb up into 14th place. Still the yellow flags out there on the circuit, which is frustrating some drivers because they're starting to go quicker and quicker. So Christopher Mies and Nick Katzberg both setting personal bests in Sector 1, but then when they get to this sequence of corners here, they have to slow down because of Laurens Vanthor's stricken car at the side of the circuit. Go on board with Hammond. Power in this turbocharged Nissan. 6 minutes to go in the session. Still the yellow flags out there. Hammond comes down towards the final corner. And now it looks as though Laurens Vanthor's car is going to get lifted. And then we'll be green for the final 5 minutes or so here in Moscow. So here's the 333 Rinaldi. There's the standings at the moment, and well, number 2 Christopher Mies has jumped up into 2nd place. I think that was while the flags were out, so we'll wait and see whether oh no, that's been there a while actually, so that's all right for Christopher Mies, up into 2nd position. 3rd place, we've still got the Reiter Engineering Lamborghini. This 333 Ferrari is down in 8th position for the time being. There's Stefan Ortelli and Stefan Rakelmi's number 3 WRT Audi. Track is green now then. As green as the Rinaldi as they come out onto the back stretch. On board we go. On the brakes, into the final corner, out of the final corner and across the line. No improvement this time around for the Siegfried Rinaldi Racing Ferrari. Just coming out of the pits in front of him was the 6 Phoenix. Ooh, big oversteering moment coming into 2. Now this is the long right-hander at 3. You take one apex, run it out wide and then come back in for a second bite, and then into 4. Kink at 6, watch for the upshift in the middle. Can't quite see the LEDs that clear. Oh, and is that someone locking up there and going straight on? Couldn't quite make out. It certainly looked like a lot of smoke up in the distance, but looks as though all the cars in front are still on the circuit. I think it was the number 6 Phoenix Audi that was on the track in front of the 333 Ferrari. And the Phoenix Audi's still there, so maybe just a little bit of an excursion. As they come out onto the back straight with less than 3 minutes to go here in Moscow of today's running. Not a good first sector for the Rinaldi car. So this lap time really isn't going to set the world alight. It looks like maybe they were backing off to get a bit of space and then go for it this time around, fingers crossed. Across the line, and it is Norbert Siedler at the wheel at the moment. Watching on there, and he's one of the big funders for this Rinaldi team. One of the major financial backers. Did race for the team a couple of times last season, but now he's just there to fund it. As down into the final corner for what will be the penultimate time come these cars, because they're not going to have time to get another lap time. They will be starting their final lap of the session. One minute and 20 seconds left on the clock. As the cars stream out and across the line for one more, perhaps flying lap attempt. On board we go with the 84 HTP Bentley. At the moment it's Vincent Abril at the wheel, I believe. Through 6, now up into this tricky 7, which is just really a kink in getting it stopped for 8. Sergio Jimenez has just gone 3rd quickest, fastest middle sector of anyone, so good lap there from the 0 Brazilian BMW. Abril doing a 32.5 in sector 1, which isn't bad, but it's not particularly amazing. Now heading down the back stretch as the checkered flag comes out now. And that is the end of free practice 2. So next up is going to be qualifying tomorrow morning. Still a bit more action to come here. Across the line then comes the Bentley, goes 8th. See whether anyone improves on these final tours. Jules Simkovic has done a personal best in the first sector, so may get an improvement from him. No one else seems to be. Maybe Attila Abreu. He's looking pretty quick. Here he is. Oh, no, that's the Zero BMW coming down towards the final corner and coming into the pits. Here's Attila Abreu out through the final turn. Are we going to see an improvement from him? He was down in 17th position as he comes across the line now, goes 9th quickest, so not a massive improvement. Jules Simkowiak across the line goes up to 6th quickest. Good lap from Simkowiak there. And Nicky Meyer-Melnoff doesn't improve that time through either. Out of the final turn comes Nick Hammond. No personal bests for him, so I'd be surprised if we see an improvement. No, he remains in 17th position out of the 18 cars out there. Pierre Dieudonné. So 1-2 for WRT here. For cars number 1 and 2 as well. There is bounce on Abril. Finishing that session in 9th place, slower than teammate Jules Simkowiak. So good lap again from Simkowiak in the Silver Cup in 6th position as the cars will now all head back down to the pit lane. There's Robin Freitz. Quickest, he and Lawrence Van Thor, but also in the wall. The cars rumble back down the pit lane towards their garages, and that's work done for the day on track. And here's a look at the results. 1 and 2 for WRT Audis 1 and 2, separated by less than 1/10 of a second. Then 3/10 back, you got the Zero BMW. That's good news for Caca Bueno and Sergio Jimenez. Albert Montern, Taxis and Nick Katzberg didn't really improve their time from earlier on in the session. James Nash and Frank Stippler 5th quickest. Then the first of the Bentleys, Jules Simkowiak setting that lap time on the final tour. Winkelhock in 7th place, Bonomi and Salaquada. Then you got the second BMW Team Brazil car in 10th place, Valdeno Brito and Attila Abreu. Only 11th for Rob Bell and Kevin Estra. How many laps did they do? They did 24 laps, so not a huge amount, actually. They missed out on about 10 laps of running. And then you can see the Russian Mercedes in 15th and 18th position. Samaran and Chukhanov could only manage 16th. And it was an early end to the session for Alexei Karachev as he stuck it in the wall. So that concludes this second free practice session here in Moscow. Here's a look back at the highlights of that second practice session. Nick Katzberg and Albert von Taxis having a little discussion before the session got underway on a beautiful day here in Moscow. There you can see the 75 car of Marco Bonomi and Philippe Salaquada. Max Buch was having a little play around, and the 333 Rinaldi Ferrari was looking strong out there. Marco Stiefried and Norbert Siedler. It was second place at the end of the session for Enzo Eid and Christopher Mies. So they're looking strong for the racing that we've got coming up tomorrow. Albert von Taxis is looking quick as well. And Maxi Buch. P1, only for a little period of time though. His teammate Vincent Abril could only manage 9th quickest in the end. Nick Katzberg again out there looking quick, but didn't really improve in this afternoon session after the first free practice earlier on. 54 Attempto Porsche kicking up the grass in what was getting it a little bit sideways there at turn 3, and later on he'd get it a lot more sideways and a lot more in the wall. His teammate Robin Freitz would have a little go first though, as Vanthor tried to find his way past the 77 BMW Team Brazil car. The 70 car of Alexei Karachev would soon end his session in the wall, going too quick into 7 and then ending up in the barriers. That brought out a red flag for a little period of time, which allowed everyone to clear the circuit. And there is Alexei Karachev, very disappointed to have ended in the wall, but hopefully that car will be back out tomorrow. There was a little mistake then for Alexei Vasiliev and for Marcus Winkelhock spinning at turn 3. This really does seem to be a challenging circuit that is catching out some highly experienced drivers. Mark Szolzicki, Le Mans LMP1 racer this time around, last season, quick again. but he too was making mistakes. And this was a replay. Turn 1 was fine, but didn't get back on the track soon enough. Tried to brake on the grass, and all hell broke loose at the rear of his car. We saw some great sliding action from Sergei Chukhanov. He came around the right-hander at turn 3. We joined the circuit. There was something strange going on with the MRS GT Nissan. We saw Stefan Rakelmi going straight on. These cars have ABS, but that Nissan kept locking up. Stefan Rakelmi skipping across the grass. That was the damage that was caused to the number 70 car. Marco Bonanno looking happy. But that was the big story at the end of the session, was Laurens Vanthoor sticking it into the wall with just about 10 minutes to go. And that is going to cause him a challenge. But he and Robin Freight still, nevertheless, ended the session quickest of anyone. They are top of the championship and top of the timing screens. Join us tomorrow for qualifying and both races.